Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
Evil dies tonight!
What do?
We fight. Let's hunt him down.
We live in a spooky society. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press Retrospective. We're returning to our Halloween retrospective after 4 years now? It was only supposed to be 2 years?
Was that the one that got, like, all fucked up? I don't even remember.
No. It's just, it's the one I started releasing during October, and it finished in January just because there are that many Halloween movies.
Oh, yeah. That was a great idea on our part.
No, it was fun. It was spooky season is forever.
Yes.
Evil can't die tonight because you need sequels. Yeah. Which is what we knew going into this one.
You can't kill the monetary value of the boogeyman.
We're here to talk about Halloween Kills, the follow-up to 2018's Halloween, directed by David Gordon Green, co-written by Danny McBride.
And another person.
Hang on, I'm going to pull that up because they Scott Teems.
Is that a real person?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. This might explain some things. So that person has also written a film called The Quarry.
I don't think I've seen that.
The upcoming remake of Firestarter.
Ah.
A film called That Evening Sun from 2009. And Insidious Chapter 5, which is not out yet. And the 2023 Exorcist film that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride are also doing. Actually, is Danny
everyone's
McBride
real excited about that right now.
Is Danny McBride doing that? Yeah, he's also doing that. Here's the thing, Danny McBride's like a really talented writer. Like let's we'll get into Halloween Kills because I'm sure people have takes, but Danny McBride's like a really good writer.
Yeah.
Righteous Gemstones was the best thing on TV when it was airing because Danny McBride's just that talented. Season 2 finally coming out because of COVID. It got delayed, and I'm super excited. And if you've seen like Vice Principals or Eastbound and Down, he's like a talented dude.
Yeah, I love Danny McBride.
Yeah. What?
Best part of that fucking Covenant movie that is terrible.
No, but he is very good in it. He's great. He should be in the third Halloween. Halloween Ends.
He should. I bet you he is reluctant to, but he should totally just show up.
Yeah, because he can also do serious, dramatic stuff really well. So
he's a good actor, and he's funny.
And there's a lot of good actors in this movie. I just want to say, obviously, we're picking up literally right after the end of Halloween 2018. So it's Halloween 2 again, but this time as the third entry, even though it's the middle of a trilogy.
Hold on, let's break this down for a second. We're picking up right after the ending of Halloween 2018, but then we're also picking up right after the ending of Halloween 1978, and then we're going back to Halloween 2018 and then 78, and then some time hopping happening very early in this.
Yeah, I did not know they were doing that.
Neither did I. And I will say this before we get into it. I was very happy to see that they just cast a guy who looked like Donald Pleasance instead of doing deep fake shit.
Yeah, at first that threw me off. I was like, no, don't do this to me. I was rooting for you. I was rooting for this movie so hard because I love 2018 Halloween still. I love that movie. I still love that movie. I feel like we have to get into it now and talk about everything that goes on in this film, Halloween Kills. So if you haven't seen Halloween Kills, Matt, would you recommend Halloween Kills?
You go first.
I asked you first.
You go first.
Yes, but not until the third one comes out.
All right, that's a pretty good take, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, I like this movie.
Okay.
All right, here's the thing. This I gotta give a little bit of a preamble because I waited until like the middle of the weekend to see it because I was going to see it with people. And so a lot of the early reviews came out.
Yeah, oh boy, did they.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, it was for about a day. I would go to my Letterboxd feed, and it would be like, this person you follow, 1 star. This person you follow, 1/2 star. This person you follow, 1/2 star. Like, over and over again on my feed. And then all of them liking each other's reviews. And so it's just a feed that basically just says Halloween Kills, varying from 1 star to 2 stars. And I think an occasional rave 3 stars. And so I was like, oh shit. But then I'm getting people who aren't on film Twitter in real life like messaging me because they know I love Halloween. And they're like, dude, have you seen new Halloween? I'm like, no, not yet. And they're like, man, it fucking rules. This fucking movie was unbelievable. And so, like, I'm just like, the fuck is this movie? I'm like, what is generating so much anger from one side, but then complete, like, celebration from the other? And I'll say there's a scene in the middle of it that I totally understand why everyone hates this movie. There's a very big scene in the middle of it that kind of derails the whole fucking thing. And if you get to that point and you're like, fuck this movie, I get it. I'm not going to be here and be like, this is a secret masterpiece. I'm not going to say that actually the stuff you all are angry about is what makes it great. There's a lot of bad stuff in this. But there was also a lot of stuff I liked. And I ultimately kind of fell favorably on the movie.
Okay, see, so I had a lot of stuff I also liked in this movie. I think I'm actually kind of down with everything this movie's going for, and absolutely, like, very little of how it's accomplished.
Yeah, there's that. There's a lot of, like, I see what you were going for. Which, honestly, what is more perfect for the Halloween franchise than that? I mean, about half the films in the series, you can kind of go, like, I see what they were going for.
And then, like, the really bad ones where you're like, what were you going for? Like Halloween 6, which has found reappraisal since our retrospective. Which is odd, because we both hated that movie.
Fucking crack. You fucking people are out of your minds. That's what I was thinking, where I was like, honestly, I was watching this, and I was being like, people were like, fucking, like, fuck this movie. And I'm like, I get it, but also I'm like, I've seen Halloween 6. I've seen Halloween Resurrection. Like, those are the bad ones. And this is a lot better than those, in my opinion.
Also, David Gordon Green's still, like, a solid director.
Yeah. He is. There were a couple moments where I honestly couldn't tell what the fuck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Which, some scenes it was, like, meant to be chaotic, and others I'm like, it's trying to be suspenseful here, but I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, like, I like the added chaos of this one, where it's like, you know, Halloween Kills, that's fucking wild out, and you kind of get that. The editing is different. The editor, is different from the first film. It's edited by Timothy Alverson, who's like a Blumhouse guy through and through. And I'm willing to bet some of the issues pertaining to this film are due to maybe the editing team being a little different.
Maybe, but I don't know.
I mean, there are some problems, like, in the story choices, we'll say, for now.
I think this movie more fails in its writing. Yeah, I think that's... Because a lot... It feels like it's deliberately trying to, like, recontextualize everything and just give you a completely different tone, where it was like, we did Halloween 2018... And even though it's the same team, same, like, writer-director team, it's a completely different beast, ultimately.
Mm-hmm. I got a lot of Jaws 2 vibes, also.
I got Jaws 2 vibes, and you know what I also got? And it doesn't reach this level. I got some Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 vibes. Like, it doesn't lean into the craziness as much as Texas Chainsaw 2, which I think might have been the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Like... we get to there's the part where everyone's going crazy, which is fun, but then it, like, builds to, like, a really melodramatic note. We'll talk about that scene in depth, probably.
Will we?
And it's like, no, don't do that. Like, No, just have these people just go around punching children or something. Go really crazy with it. I'm just there's anyone wearing a Halloween mask, you just beat the shit out of them. Something more wild than what it built towards, which is the moment where you're do these guys get how crazy this is? Do they think they're making a movie that is saying a lot about society?
Yes.
And I mean, that's the thing where didn't David Gordon Green's well, the next one we're gonna have to deal with COVID, and I'm no, you don't.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was no, oh no.
Well, hearing that before seeing the movie, I was huh, that's an interesting comment. And then after seeing it, I'm oh no, don't do that. And yeah, this is a fucking weird movie.
Yeah, and I don't think it's very good. The thing I sent out the morning after I saw it was just that GIF of Chris Farley looking excited and his face his excitement slowly dissipating, and that was kind of me watching the movie.
And turning to anger.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest, that happened pretty quickly. And then,
oh really?
And then
okay.
It was oh, okay, this is good. Okay, maybe the movie's finding its footing here, and it does for portions of it. And then it would de-escalate again, and I was no, what's happening? And I think that's why it's really frustrating too. It wasn't consistently good or consistently misfiring enough, so it just kind of it became a really frustrating experience. But I'm not angry about it. I think people are like tearing this movie down, like you said, with the 1-star reviews, and I don't think so, but it's definitely
I think it's just
uneven.
Not to be we live in a society, but I think there's just a violent rejection of IP right now. Mm-hmm. This could have been the greatest movie ever made, and I doubt anyone would be yeah, I think people are just angry, and I get it.
Yeah.
It's just I think we're all kind of sick of the studio just regurgitating stuff and then either what people consider sanding off. I guess the difference is when people talk about certain other movies that are getting reboots or sequels to their reboots, which is kind of the area we're in right now. There's people going well, this is just regurgitating and then it's sanding off all the edges and I think horror, and particularly this movie, gets a bit of a pass for me just because I'm aware of the this has already been done. How many Halloweens are there at this point? This is the 12th.
This is the 12th, yeah.
So we've already dealt with this about 10 more times where it comes back, it's the same bullshit, they sand off the edges, and then it kind of just turns into well, what's Michael Myers going to do in this one? Mm-hmm. As opposed to anything super heady, which I actually am kind of glad to see it immediately abandoned. Well, that was the thing. It was I felt all right, they're not trying to recapture the magic of the Carpenter Halloween, which is probably the biggest fault of 2018, is that it's trying to capture that same spirit and you just can't, Mm-hmm. It's impossible to replicate John Carpenter's Halloween.
But I'm willing to say that they understood it, and to their credit, it made it work on its own terms. It's just you can't you're not John Carpenter, So
yeah, exactly. And I was very happy when this one was starting, and it was clear from the get-go, it's abandoning that. It is not trying to be here's we're building on Carpenter's legacy. It's all right, we're gonna forge our own path. And then, for a while I was oh, it's good because this is just all right. It's just gonna be fucking ridiculous. He's fucking just killing firefighters.
That was so awesome.
It was, it's insane. And I was all right, fuck yeah, let's fucking go for it. But then you start getting into the he's the reflection of all of us, the blah blah blah. It's whenever anyone's in fear, it's his power. And then you're no, don't, you can say that if you want, but not in the movie, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think you could do it in the movie. You don't have it be Laurie. I think
I guess you
is
don't-
what threw me off.
Like, my thing is, a big problem I just have with all movies today is that they just fucking over-explain everything. And I think a big part of it is that they want the audience to be on the exact same page at all times. You know?
Mm-hmm.
They saw what happened to The Last Jedi when it used some ambiguity. And people fucking burned 7 theaters down. So, it's like... There was a need to underline it being like, well, the reason Michael Myers is unstoppable is because he's a symbol or something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like when they start going in that. And it's like, you don't need to say it. We can get it from the movie. And I want movies more to just stop over-explaining. And if there's any lesson people should be taking from fucking John Carpenter, because instead of trying to replicate his energy, he knew how to tell everything he needed to with just a few shots in any movie.
Yeah.
He's a minimalist. He knows what the fuck he's doing. This movie, if you cut out huge portions of the monologues that are happening in here, I think it would have played a little better. And just let's let it play visually.
Yeah.
And let it get more impressionistic as it goes along. Instead, it's like, you're getting kind of creative. I really like how that last showdown is shot, like the very like climactic showdown between the mob and Michael Myers.
I was totally into that ending. I gotta be honest, yeah.
But then there's the monologue like going over it, and I'm like, no, like no talking. I got what was happening visually. I see it, and this is a movie where everyone's screaming as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's a very loud movie. I think that's why people rejected it too, because like that's not traditionally associated with Halloween, and I liked the approach that took. Not so much the execution like we're talking about, but like, okay, fine, fuck it, do your whole thing. We can get into it now, but the literal like reimagining of like this world's alternate events of Halloween 2. I thought looked pretty impressive how they matched the footage, but I also thought like the rest of the movie, oh, we're like 10 minutes in, the titles haven't come up. We're still watching this scene.
That's been a thing lately.
Yeah, why does that keep happening to me?
I don't know. I saw the new Bond, and like that was one where I was like, oh man, because like I realized I hadn't really been paying attention to the James Bond movie, like any of the hype, and I'm like, oh, I really hope they didn't get rid of the credits, and it's like, nope, we're just gonna do it 15 minutes in.
Yeah, but that movie was awesome.
Yeah, that movie's interesting. I had a good time.
Oh, okay.
I'm having a weird thing lately. Maybe just because my life's a disaster, but I'm just like, I've been lukewarm in a lot of movies lately, and but I think I really like No Time to Die. I would have to see it again, frankly.
Yeah, that is also a flawed film.
Yeah.
But for what like it ended up going for as like the last of Craig's Bond stuff, I was like, all right, you did it, good job. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. I would have to see it again, but I liked it. I will say that. I think I ultimately, if I liked fucking Spectre, I'm gonna like that movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Hey, Spectre makes a whole lot more sense now, right?
Sure.
Maybe this is David Gordon Green's Spectre.
Maybe, yeah, because it's like Skyfall. Oh fuck yeah, everyone
Yeah,
loves
fuck
Skyfall.
yeah. Then it's like,
same team.
let's do that again.
Yeah. Oh no.
What the fuck? Yeah. You know what's weird though? They really shouldn't ever cut to footage from Halloween '78.
No, they shouldn't.
Like, it's so jarring.
I know, because it's like that film was shot so cheaply, which is its charm and ends up working to that film's benefit. But this movie and this trilogy, I guess, is going to have like a totally different look just because like the equipment used, the lighting, the budget, like it's very jarring.
You would have to like be a crazy person to capture the actual look of the original Halloween today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would you need to be fucking Stanley Kubrick intentionally trying to film bad or something. Like, but yeah, it's so jarring, and it's just hysterical when it's like, man, Michael Myers really tore up this community when he killed 3 people
Mm.
in '78, and then like before the credits even roll, like people are fucking getting massacred in this goddamn film. Like,
And maybe that's why they also felt the need to do this like this little extraneous backstory about like how the cop who ended up surviving from the last film, which I was like, okay, that's interesting.
yeah, I liked that,
and
I like that actor.
And how they're like, oh, like 3 people being killed by Michael Myers, tragedy, but like it's not what we're hyping it up to be. How else can we do it? Oh, let's bring in Jim Cummings, the indie darling at the moment, and have him get shot in the neck by his partner. And I guess I don't understand the purpose of why that's in the movie. Any of that.
Yeah, I don't totally know either. Like, it felt weird, and yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what the fuck was that? I mean, maybe it's like trying to be like, well, we're suppressing it is like a problem.
Like, I think it's about like the failures of society and like the institutions in society.
Jamie Lee Curtis does say like the system failed at a certain point.
Yeah,
right?
it's literally
like,
a line in the movie.
That's a line in this movie.
Yeah. It's like, like that's totally fine to go for that. This movie is also an hour and 40 minutes long, and it does not have like the meat on its bones to sustain that.
Yeah, cut like 10 minutes.
I would say cut 20. I think you could cut 20, and it's like a brief 85 minutes, 80 minutes with credits. And I think, because this movie is really an epilogue to Halloween 2018.
Yeah, it's an epilogue, but also a prologue to whatever the fuck Halloween Ends is gonna be.
Yeah, and I guess that one's gonna have a time jump.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, now the problem is that like half your teenage cast is just aging. Like,
so everyone in Haddonfield's dead. Yes,
well, yeah,
I guess just spoilers from here on out. Also,
it would be nuts if it was like a post-apocalypse movie of like Michael Myers has just killed everyone.
that would be interesting.
It would, yeah.
Put Michael Myers in the White House.
Yeah. There's a Halloween fan film called like Halloween Inferno or something like that. Did we talk about it on the retrospective?
I can't
even remember. And I believe it's this movie about like the U.S. government capturing Michael Myers to try and harness his evil as like a weapon. And it's like a very popular fan film, apparently. I've never seen it. I've just heard about it. And like, yeah, why not? Go fucking crazy. Like,
if they were still doing like the Thorn trilogy stuff, then sure, that's perfect for that, because that's like so stupid and trashy.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I want to give this that like props for, maybe it's not totally deserved, but I just like, is that I like the direction they're taking Michael Myers in, because it's just, we live in a world where we're just gonna do every fucking 10 years we're gonna do Halloween's back, that's just how it is. Mm-hmm. It's just, that's how movies get made. And everyone's gonna see it because people fucking like Halloween. And I like that we're no longer anchored to the Laurie Strode of it all, where it's like got to be the Strode family, which starts getting obsessed with like bloodlines and cults and stuff like that. Like, you get to fucking Halloween 6 and you're like, this is fucking ridiculous. And Dr. Loomis fighting him with magic stones. Like, I like that they've just gone like, nope, he's pure evil. He's like, we're just gonna really double down on that, and he's gonna be this unstoppable thing. You can define him in different ways. We're gonna define him as like the spirit of Trump's America, maybe. Like,
yeah, is that like the MAGA angle they're going for with the crowd stuff?
I think they were trying to, but like I can't even guess if it's successful, honestly. And I mean, it's not, but I like that it's like, okay, I would like to, when we do Halloween in 10 years, I would like to see what a filmmaker 10 years from now angle is on that, as opposed to like, what's the Strode family up to today? Mm-hmm. Which has been the problem with all the other Halloween, including the zombie remakes, which like still had to be about Laurie. And I almost think this movie would have benefited from like Laurie Strode being in it even less than she already is.
I think so too, actually. And Jamie Lee Curtis is fucking fantastic. It's nothing against
Yeah,
her
yeah,
at
it's
all.
not. It's not against her. It's not even. I'm not even saying because I didn't like some of the writing she had. I just felt like the direction the movie was going didn't need to bring her back into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, like, I got more into Anthony Michael Hall's performance as Tommy Doyle.
Oh, he's so intense, but I thought he was actually really fun.
Yeah, it was fun and, like, ridiculous.
Now,
And yeah,
do you know who was supposed to play him when they were starting pre-production on this movie?
who?
They were planning to bring back Paul Rudd from Halloween 6,
Oh shit.
and he had to turn it down because of Ghostbusters.
Oh.
I hate that Ghostbusters movie, and I haven't even seen it because of that.
Yeah, I mean but I don't know if I like Paul Rudd. I don't know if he could have gotten. I've never seen Paul Rudd go like that, where Anthony Michael Hall takes it.
Yeah. It would have been a different performance, but I would have loved to have seen everything Anthony Michael Hall does, but with Paul Rudd. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's so different. Like, that's like a psychotic choice for
Yeah,
what this
that's-
movie is. That would have made me love this movie, probably.
Maybe. I mean, it would have been. I think there'd be some memes out of it.
Oh, yeah. Imagine Paul Rudd. Evil dies tonight!
Yeah, it's Paul Rudd instigating a mob.
Well, he's so charming.
I mean, here's the weird thing, though. It's like, watching this now, it's impossible not to draw parallels with what happened in Washington earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Like, it's impossible not to think about it.
Yeah.
But this was shot, like, before that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This was shot 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, it was one of the movies that was supposed to come out in 2020.
Yeah. Which I wonder if it had come out, if maybe it would play a little better.
Maybe, because I'm cool with stuff going on with the angry mob. Not so much the melodramatic direction it takes.
Yeah.
But, like, the idea that, like, you know, fear's like a real thing that can, like, drive people to do crazy things, you know? And so this movie has to do a lot of heavy lifting to build up the community of Haddonfield, because most of the people introduced in the first film are dead. And then most of the people introduced in this film are dead by the end. Which I like, but it makes that, like, one specific decision that much more difficult, and I don't think it introduces a wide supporting cast very well.
I will say, I think one thing I really liked about it was I liked how they tried to establish Haddonfield with the bar.
Yeah.
The weird talent show going on. And then I liked that the hospital kind of becomes the central location where people are like, have you seen my loved one? Like everyone's like showing up at the hospital, like, is there an injury? I've heard there's stuff happening. And it helps kind of give, like, that energy to the town. And then they brought back the guy who played the sheriff in the original.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to see him. And it was nice that, like, he showed up and, like, also goes crazy.
Yeah.
It wasn't, like, a weird little cameo. It's like, he's like, no, evil dies tonight. And, yeah, I got a lot to say. I'm, like, all over the place. Sorry.
No, I think it's fine for this movie in particular, because this movie's all over the place. And I'm glad you brought up the January 6th thing, because my favorite review of this movie on Letterboxd is from Mike McCabe, Twitter pal, and he liked it. He liked it more than us. He gave it 4 stars. But my favorite line in his review is, "It's so cool to see the people of Haddonfield do a January 6th." It's like, yeah, that's definitely... This movie's definitely relevant.
I mean, like I said, it's this thing where, like, I really wonder how it would play different, where it's like we see this angry mob storming a hospital to kill a mentally ill man, and it's like, what would happen if it had come out last year before something like that actually happened? Like, where it's weird watching it now, being like, that it kind of happened. And yeah, I don't like it just sits differently in the brain now, which I can't totally fault the film for it. Mm-hmm. But it hurts it. But then I guess I'll go into this a little more. Like, a recurring thing in the Halloween franchise is there are fake Michael Myers running around, right?
Yeah. Why does it keep happening?
It happens in every movie. Dr. Loomis got that one fucking guy killed.
Ben Tramer.
Yeah,
who is
yeah.
alive in this universe.
Oh, hey, yeah.
He never got hit by the police car.
Hey.
He didn't get out of the way.
They should have added that.
Fucking funny.
But, like, also, it's Halloween. You could have totally had something. It feels like something they maybe should have set up in the previous movie, where it's like there would be some asshole dressed up as Michael Myers in Haddonfield every Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be like, I'm dressed up, because in that world it would still be an iconic image. And people dress up like the Zodiac Killer for Halloween. I mean, it's not that far-fetched. And you could have done all the mob shit with just that, where it's like they're going after people dressed as Michael Myers, but they're not really Michael Myers. And instead they chose to hang it on one of the other mental patients that escaped from the hospital with Michael Myers. And that was a mistake.
Yeah. And it's also a very mean film, so when it does pivot to like a very sincerely melodramatic moment, it feels like kind of gross. And like I'm cool with like the slasher grossness. Like again, I said the scene where Michael Myers kills the first responders was awesome. And I do stand by that. I think for like establishing what Michael's going to be like in this movie and for the direction it takes like the town of Haddonfield, I was like, fuck yeah, that's like exactly what this needs. Like it feels like Michael's angry. And I really like the image of him coming out of the burning house with the firefighters' water like kind of pouring in front of him. It's like, oh fuck yeah, that's a shot, And
I did like the shot earlier too when all the cops are surrounding him in the '78 flashback.
Yeah, but I didn't like any of that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I like the shot. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it is kind of interesting. It's like it's a visual parallel to when he was a kid, but like also. Why?
I mean, I think they're trying to say something of like after this has happened, it's like we just get more like intense, we get more militarized almost. Like it went from one kid and his parents standing there, so it's like now he's surrounded by police, and then by the end it's like the entire community is turned into an angry mob.
Yeah. I mean, this movie definitely has stuff on its mind. Maybe too much.
Maybe too much, and I wish it had just told me less of it.
Yeah.
Just like I said, like I would love it if it was entirely. It's one of those things where like even if David Gordon Green was out there right now, like giving interviews where he's like, actually, this is about Trumpism and stuff like that, and I could just ignore it because it's very easy to ignore what a director says. And I wish I could just go by the movie, but so much of just underlying what's happening is present in the dialogue that I think it does damage to what I would walk away from being like, that was interesting. Except for, like I said, I think the whole... I'll say this. The first scene where they think it's Michael Myers in the car, but then it turns out to be the escaped mental patient, and then he just, like, slinks away. Like, I thought that scene kind of worked. Like,
I did too.
I'm like, okay.
Well, here, I'll let you finish, but...
No, I'm just saying, I feel like they could have just done that, and it would have conveyed everything they were going for with the big melodramatic scene in just a small moment, of just like, oh, in our anger we're actually ignoring people that need help, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like it's all there in that one scene, and it's a simple scene, and it ends pretty quickly. But then we get it just comes back around to the hospital, and I guess they were like, well, we need something to direct this mob at, and they couldn't figure out what. And so they're like, well, let's make it this guy. And then they didn't know how to end that. And so it just turns into the big scene of, like, the mob on both sides. And I don't understand why Judy Greer turns into the one who's like, no, I'll help you. Like, I don't know why her character
I think
does
she's
that.
supposed to be, like, the heart of the movie.
Yeah.
But she's in the hospital the whole time, which makes perfect sense because she's looking after Laurie. That's nothing wrong with that. But... it's missing like a component to make her like almost like the innocence of town.
And meanwhile, she shot Michael Myers in the face in the last movie.
Yeah.
Like,
she gets like the cheer-worthy moment in the last movie.
Yeah, so I was just baffled by that decision. And and it's like it's a very mean movie, and then we build to that scene, and it's just like a fucking guy, guy kills himself, and it's like, what the fuck? And everyone's like, "Oh, we've gone too far," and
which is like
that was just
I think that's like a
mess.
good idea for the mob to recognize that, and then like, oh, okay, you're right. We do need to like organize properly and not like just give in to fear and anger. Like that's fine, but oh boy, that is definitely the low point of the movie.
Yeah, and like that's if you turn on the movie 100%, like you might not be into it by then. Like I understand. There's a lot of other bad stuff before that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the movie where if that's the moment where you're like, fuck this movie, I get it. Because it's not good. It's like really bad. Like I think I'm downplaying how bad that whole sequence is.
I kind of couldn't believe it when I was watching it. I was like,
yeah,
how did we get here?
I mean, it was so mean. I'll be honest. Like, I was laughing in the theater.
Oh,
because of course, but because I was like, I can't believe they think this is a good idea. Well, also, I was watching it, and you know, I got all these like 1-star reviews in the back. I haven't read any of the reviews. I just see the ranking, and I'm just like, man, what the fuck happens in this movie that is going to make people that angry? And I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, I understand if some people aren't into this, but for now, it's my shit. Like, I'm loving this. This is a blast. It's fucking just violent. It's just, they've given up on subtlety. It's just going to be just wild now. And then you get to that scene, and I'm like, oh, no, now I know why people hate this movie. And, yeah, it's a shame. It's like, I wish that scene wasn't in the movie, because I would be here probably defending it a lot harder, even with all the other bad stuff in it. But that scene is like, it's just, you can't get around it. And it's like the heart of the movie, too. Like, they clearly thought it was an important moment. And that's what makes it worse, because it's so bad.
Yeah, the linchpin doesn't work. But to go back to the scene you were describing at the bar, when Tommy Doyle picks up the bat and he starts leading the mob, I was like, okay, I'm into this. I'm not like, I don't think the other characters are grounded enough to kind of guide this movie, because they really... They're kind of like the group of protagonists, and the granddaughter ends up joining them, and that's kind of the focal point for a lot of the movie. I'm cool with that idea, not so much the execution. Again, I thought it would have been better if you never see who is driving the car, so you don't really know if it was Michael or not. And if they kept doing stuff like that throughout the movie, I think that would have like ramped up the fear factor, and we would have bought into the angry mob stuff more, because they wouldn't know.
That probably would have been a better idea, like that. Yeah, because there is a shot in the movie which I also think is a retcon. I believe in Halloween 2018, they say they rounded up all of the people that were on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a scene where they show on the camera. It's like, well, there's some mental patients still on the loose. Like, keep an eye out.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it would have worked a lot better if, like, yeah, something like that was happening, where you can put it together later, where it's like, oh, there were hints that it wasn't Michael Myers, and we don't know who it is, and that riles the mob up. That could have been really good, but yeah, they felt the need to underline it.
Yeah, and then also that gave me Jaws 2 vibes, along with the burnt face mask, which I actually think kind of looks cool.
I like. Also, did you notice this? I rewatched 2018, and I tried to pay attention. I couldn't. There's no moment in 2018 where you can see Michael Myers' eyes in the mask, right?
Right.
Like, it's all how this one, you get it like very early. You can see his eyes, which is also something that happens from the jump between Carpenter's Halloween to Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. Where suddenly in that movie, his first kill, you can see his eyes very clearly. That feels very pointed.
I didn't think about that, but David Gordon Green's a smart enough guy to the point where I now you mentioning that, I think he probably was intentional.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's like something where Michael's kind of like being more self-actualized in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the whole thing is like, oh, he's gaining more power because of the fear, and he's killing more people faster and stuff like that. So maybe there's something there.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you were talking about that, you think the editing team might be somewhat responsible for how this movie feels, but I have to be like, I just feel like, David. It's not like David Gordon Green didn't see the edit.
No, yeah.
you know? And also, if there's anything this movie should have gotten right, with it being on the shelf for as long as it's been, it's the editing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was probably the one thing anyone could have done from home. But it feels like a lot of the choices are. I think a lot of it felt very deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he intentionally wanted to be like, this is even though I'm the same guy who did Halloween 2018, you can treat Halloween 2018 as its own movie with a beginning, middle, and end, and then you can take this one if you want. But it's going to be a different beast, and I'm really leaning into just the massacre nature of Michael Myers. And I feel like he's trying to do, not like where the last one was slavishly devoted to the Carpenter film, this one feels like it's trying to be the perfect Halloween sequel by only taking elements from the sequels, but ignoring the he's after his sister angle. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, the one thing that Halloween Resurrection had going for it was that Michael Myers goes back to his house, which is a big part of this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like I think a lot of it was intentional. That doesn't mean it works or was a good choice, but I don't think this is like necessarily incompetence or a studio maybe interfering a little bit, which seems to be the narrative with every movie people don't like these days.
Yeah, like people can just make decisions that don't work, and I think that's what this movie is. It's definitely purposeful. I just didn't think it worked. Which again is just more shocking because it's the same people who did the last one.
Yeah.
So like what I found myself asking like what happened? And like it's not that complicated of an answer. It just didn't work. The ideas didn't work, and we can get more into it.
We're going for something different, and I think it's honestly a little admirable for me that they tried to go for it.
Yeah.
I'd rather that than just like, oh, they're going to do the same movie again.
Yeah. Some people have said like, oh, now it's just another Halloween sequel, and I don't even agree with that. Like, my problems with it aren't anything the other movies touch, or like it doing something super similar to the other films. Like its problems are just like in the decision it's making in every category, basically. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's not like the worst of the series. Like calm down, everyone.
It's not, and I feel like just fucking with the arc that Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 took. Mm-hmm. Like 10 years from now, people are gonna fucking love this movie.
Oh, totally. And a lot of the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 fans hate this movie, which is like, of course, funny to me.
Of course, that's what fucking happens. Yeah. And those fuckers 10 years from now are gonna be like, I can't believe you didn't get the brilliance of Halloween Kills.
Well,
and I'm not even saying that. Like, I'm not saying that this is a secret brilliant movie. I'm just saying there's a lot here that I did like. It's just right next to stuff I hate.
Well, here, as we continue on in the movie, here's what I'll say right now, since we're just on the topic of that. As much as I'm disappointed with this movie, like, this is probably going to be the most disappointed I am in a movie all year, unfortunately. Just to let you all know where I'm at with it. But I'm still, like, looking forward to the last one they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like they'll fucking try anything, so that means that the last one has to at least be like worth talking about, like, because I think this is a film worth talking about through its frustrations, at least.
Which is honestly what we could say about every Halloween sequel.
I don't know about everyone.
I think I could say it about every Halloween sequel.
I don't know about Halloween
even Season
6.
of the Witch, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every one of those movies kind of has a big flaw in them.
Yeah.
But it's like, Halloween H2O, where I'm like, why don't I fucking love this movie? And it's just like little things that don't add up and don't work. And some stuff of it is kind of a mess. But then it has like the best ending of any of those Halloween movies. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, that's enough to make me like the movie. That's the other thing. A lot of these Halloween movies, they're not good, but then they have one moment that is incredible.
Yeah, and in H2O, it's Laurie picking up the axe.
Yeah, picking up the axe, cutting his fucking head off. In 4, it's that another good ending, with the twist with Jamie. With Halloween 5, it's fucking Dr. Loomis going ape shit with a bit of wood. Play the clip. You know, every movie's got something, and then it's just next to really dumb stuff. Like the idiot cops or the girl who's like, I hate the one lead woman in Halloween 5 so much.
Oh, I thought she was fine. Everyone hates her. I thought she was fine. I don't know. I guess because I just feel bad for the actress who was probably like horrendously harassed until horror conventions became a thing.
Always that.
Yeah.
There's always that problem because fans are terrible. But yeah, it is weird just being like Halloween 2018. I watched it after Kills, and I'm like, this still works. Like Halloween Kills has not like retroactively hurt Halloween 2018, and it's like this still works for what it is. I understand why some people don't like it, but I think it's a solid movie. And then it's just like, and then the same team did this movie. You're like, what the fuck?
The franchise potential of Halloween Kills.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing is that like I know it's trying to turn it. You know, you gotta make people money at some point, and that's the only reason these movies are getting made. But whatever. I like horror is the one genre where I'm like, fuck it, bring on like Halloween 22. Like, I don't give a shit. Just make 50 of them. I'll watch it. There's like 800 Frankenstein movies, and I'll watch all of them. Like, why not? I wish there was a new Dracula movie every year.
Well, Chloe Zhao's doing one. It's like a Western vampire thing.
There's like dueling Dracula films.
Oh yeah, and then Karen Kusama also.
Yeah. So that's fuck it, bring it. Like I'm excited. Why not? Yeah, it's just the stuff that really sucks in this really sucks, and I can't think of another Halloween film where it like crossed that kind of line for me.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, I actually have moral problems with this,
which is kind of like that's pretty shocking to think about, considering how bad some of those movies are, which we have found much enjoyment in discussing and remembering.
Mm-hmm.
Much like Halloween 5. Again, play the clip.
Die! Why didn't they get that guy doing Loomis's voice to just say that once?
Yeah, they should have reshot that scene. And you know what? Here you go. Here's my pitch to fix the opening flashback that goes on way too fucking long. You just redo that scene, and when the young version of the cop finds Michael, it's actually Loomis who's like beating him to death, and he's like, "No, we got him," and he's like,
"Die,
no,
Michael."
Die.
It was kind of cool hearing, even though the guy doing the Loomis voice doesn't really sound like Loomis.
Yeah,
he tried his best, but it was. I got a little bit like excited when you hear him. It's like the evil is here. Like, that was kind of cool.
You know what's missing though? You don't know what death is.
You don't know what death is.
Like, calm down,
dude. Children.
Like, no one talks like that.
It needs a scene of Loomis. It needs someone harassing a mute child in the hospital to tell him where Michael Myers is. Yeah. Tell me, little girl.
You know, maybe that's what Halloween Kills is also about. Deep down inside every American citizen is Dr. Loomis.
Hey, maybe.
We can all become Dr. Loomis. I'm going to become the Dr. Loomis.
I do like that there's the running thing that they've done with these newer ones is just anyone that's basically encountered Michael Myers, like, it broke them.
Yeah.
That's a recurring thing that I really enjoy. And it's like, of course, Loomis is insane. Like, he had to stare at that guy forever. And just staring at him was enough. And, yeah, I mean...
here's what I'll say to add to that. I did not enjoy the referential dialogue to Halloween, the original Halloween from 1978. And I thought the 2018 film handled it significantly better, to the point where I was like, yeah, it makes sense that they would bring that up at this specific instance in history. Whereas this movie's a lot of where the survivor of Michael Myers, here, I remember that night. Sorry, could you explain that one night again so I can remember it? And it's like, I don't know, all these people live in Haddonfield. I feel like they would know.
It feels like that scene, like, the bar, I like that location, but it feels like that scene should have been, like, but then, like, you're kind of, it'll feel like down on the kids, but where it's like, kids, you don't understand, like, but then there is that scene with the fucking, what are those two idiots called? Oh God, what were their names? Big John, Lil John. Yeah. when they harass the children they're pranking them. And it's like, that kind of did the heavy lifting of, like, explaining all this shit.
Yeah. Also, Big John, Little John, innocent.
I don't know. I like I like those actors.
Yeah, the actors are great.
I like the David the true thing that I think David Gordon Green and Danny McBride bring to these movies that I like is that they feel the need to give everyone that is going to be violently murdered like a little bit of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do some. It's honestly kind of like the M. Night Shyamalan school of writing, where every character kind of has a gimmick. And it's like it helps you remember who they are. And it's like, oh, that makes them kind of a grounded person. Not really. And I do like that choice. I think it's a nice little way. Like, you interview that lovely old couple in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, they're too nice to get murdered, and then they get murdered horribly.
Yeah, this movie does not really hold back on the violence. Again, like, it literally, like, more than half the people introduced in this movie are also dead. Is this the highest body count? Because I thought 2018 had it, but it didn't. I think it's like Halloween 4 or 5 has the highest body count.
I think 4 has the scene where he's on the back of the Jeep and he's just throwing people off of it.
Fucking ridiculous.
Which is great. That's it. I like the angry mobs are like a thing in the Halloween franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see them like do it in this. I am missing, like, there weren't enough like incompetent police. I could have used a little more of that.
Yeah, and not just because we all hate the cops now, like we should, but I think that would have also leaned into what the film was going for with, like, the institutions failed us, and that's why we have to take matters into our own hands.
Who's the guy playing the black cowboy?
The Rob Zombie character? Let me see. Because I said this in our retrospective for 2018. I like the look of that character. I want more from him, and I thought he was going to have more in this one, but he just kind of has, like, quick snapshots.
Yeah, it's very brief, but you know what? I liked coming back to him regularly. Like, I liked it by the end, he's like a broken man.
Yeah, where that's why I thought that's the stuff I thought worked best after that horrible low point of the film, where he's just like, oh, I fucking, like, lost it. Like, I can't get control back of this town. Omar J. Dorsey is the actor. He's really good. Give him more. I'm sure he'll have more in the last one because he's been popping up.
They seem to be setting him up for something.
Yeah. Again, the Rob Zombie character. He fits right in, like, into the Devil's Rejects.
He does feel like someone but he hasn't had, like, an incredibly awkward monologue yet.
No, he has not.
But you know what would have worked a lot better than the, like, oh, we killed an innocent, that's what the problem is, scene. And it was something I was thinking about. Shit, my mic fell. I'm getting animated.
I know.
Shit, fucking stay up, motherfucker. Like, when the mob was, like, getting all, like, riled up and, like, stampeding and shit like that, and, like, I saw them all getting stuck on the stairs. You can get, crushed to death by, like, a human stampede like that. You can. There are stories, at sporting events where, like, there's a crunch where too many people get forced into one small area, and you will crush people to death. It's happened. It leads to massive death tolls. And I was thinking, like, this mob maybe should be freaking out at something that isn't really there. And then maybe, like, the hospital catches on fire. And then suddenly fucking you burn this hospital down. And all these people are trapped on the stairs and all die. And it's like, it could have been this huge moment which would have pushed the death count into, like, the hundreds. But I think that maybe would have worked a little better.
You know what? I like that idea.
Because if you see, like, I've seen footage of, like, buildings, like, catching on fire with, like, people in them. It's terrifying. Of just, like, the mob, like, when suddenly people take over, and you see, like, buildings that aren't necessarily built to handle massive quantities of people catching on fire. It's terrifying, and you could have done something there. It just builds to a moment that I didn't want to say falls flat, but it falls incredibly flat. Yeah.
Boy, does it. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. It's like negative. Like, it goes, like, through falling flat and, like, dragging the rest of the movie down with it.
Yeah. It's also not just, like, really manipulative, but, like, it's approached with the same, like, gore factor as the Michael Myers kills.
Yeah, that's what... I like, for a second, because they don't show him hit the ground, I'm like, okay, they're trying to be a little more tasteful with this.
Yeah. And then, there's his brain.
Yeah, it's such a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a baffling mistake.
Like, if I wanted to give the movie credit for trying, and you know what, I will even say, I bet this is why they left that like that, is to show, like, oh, like, if Michael Myers is the fear and anger, like, in everyone, then, like, they're capable of the same things he is, but that's not the same as a man called the Shape who is unkillable.
Yeah.
And who kills everyone in town. So, yeah, no, miscalculation. A lot of the mistakes are just, like, horrendous miscalculations in this movie.
You think Halloween Ends is going to end with someone giving Michael Myers a hug?
No. Although there's the very pointed final monologue is like, you can't kill evil like with anger, you can't kill evil through like violence. So I don't know. Jamie Lee Curtis is gonna give Michael a big old kiss.
Didn't she said like in an interview recently that people are not gonna like Halloween Ends, which is a ballsy thing to say in an interview.
Yeah, well, she said this movie's gonna make you angry too. Halloween Kills, referring to Halloween Kills, and like, I guess she was right. I don't think with the intention that she said it, but yeah. I think she was right. And she's been, I mean, she's been very vocal. She's great at promoting her movies, first of all, so like half of this could be just like bullshit, but I think everyone working on these movies had like a good time together.
No, that's the thing. Here's the thing. You can tell they totally believed in what they were doing.
Yeah, which goes a long way. It's not a cynical exercise.
And that's what kind of makes that big moment all the worse. Mm-hmm. Like, 'cause it's like, oh, they really thought they were doing something here. Or like the monologues that people are giving their all.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, again, when that mob like starts going out of control, as bad as that scene is, you get the idea of like when you kind of have the moment where Tommy Doyle's like, oh shit, I've pushed this too far and now I can't stop it, you know? Mm-hmm. And you do that with just a look on his face. You don't need him to actually say like, I fucked up, you know? Like, you don't need that moment later where he's admitting that what happened here was a mistake. Also, shouldn't he be in prison? He incited a riot. But
I'm willing to let it slide because it's a movie, but also like the town did lose its mind to the point where like anyone could have like started just like breaking into stores and it would have been like, yeah, that seems like the right direction for this movie. Like, it's the town just like crumbling. Yeah.
And here's another thing that to me makes it seem like a lot of the choices here were like deliberate in some of the stuff people maybe don't like about it. But that 2018 movie, there's some very well crafted scares in it. There's very good suspense from time to time. Entirely absent from this movie.
Yeah.
There are no scares. I don't think there's a single moment in this movie that is frightening.
No. Yeah.
There's stuff that is like viscerally like, like that's disgusting, oh, that's horrible, but there's no like shock moment. And there's an occasional attempt at suspense, and I don't think either of them work. Like, there's the one scene where the girl's like hiding by the river, and it's once they set up that Michael Myers right now is just fucking just mowing down motherfuckers. Like, every scene now, you're like, okay, these people are gonna run in the room and get violently murdered. Like, that's every scene after that point. Mm-hmm. And there's a repetitiveness to it that it honestly didn't get too numbing, but it leads to, like, when the father's like, no, I have to do this by myself, even though I brought you two along.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, no. And you're like, well, we know how this scene's going to end. Like, you know what's going to happen before the scene even begins, which is fine. You can do that. There are movies that telegraph exactly what's going to happen. Sometimes a reason you pay to see a movie like this a lot of times is just to see those things. And just see people do stupid stuff and get violently killed. Like, that's part of the appeal of slasher films. But here, it's just weird to see a guy who did it so well in the first one and then not do it here. It's like, you can tell he chose not to. And I think that's why they doubled down on the Tommy Doyle stuff, because that's where, like, the real kind of intensity and suspense of the film is located. Mm-hmm. And then they fucked it up. So it just leads to a really misshapen movie.
I would also say that the misshapen stuff goes back to the Strode women, the grandmother, mother, and daughter. All those actresses had so much great material to work in with the last movie. And I understand, like, I'm even cool, like what we talked about with, like, Laurie having even less to do. It's kind of funny that they did another Halloween 2. And she's back in a hospital bed the whole time.
Well, see, like, it feels like these choices feel deliberate.
No, totally.
Like,
but it's still, it's so just, like, frustrating, because I don't think they gave them enough, even in their small, like, roles, you know, for how the movie ends specifically, I think makes it not hit as hard.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And the granddaughter character getting swept up into the mob stuff, I'm cool with that. I thought
made
that
a little
was
more sense.
That was
interesting. You know what it reminded me of? Fucking Spielberg's War of the Worlds.
Okay, that's quite the pull.
Remember when the son is like, we gotta fight these Martians.
Oh yeah, we have to get back at them and stuff.
Get back at them.
With everyone's favorite Justin Chatwick.
Yeah, because it was the youth of America that was really calling for war in post 9/11.
Yeah, definitely. That's how
really
wars work.
They were the ones that really wanted this war.
Yeah. I want to see a War of the Worlds where, like, the politicians are like, well, it's good for business.
I mean, hey, you never know.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's what Halloween Kills needed. It needed, like, the mayor. And they were like, well, you know, this is going to be really good for tourism. Just really lean into, like, the hamminess of real life.
That is I think I mentioned, that's exactly what happens in Pumpkinhead 2. Pumpkinhead is, like, killing people, and the mayor, played by Bill Clinton's brother, Roger Clinton.
Wow.
Yeah, shows up in it and is like, you know, these places across the world, they got the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, good for tourism.
Wow.
And it's got this great line where the sheriff is like, people are dying, and he's like, tragedy, ain't it? Well, so is the budget for this here town.
Wow.
That's a bad movie. Pumpkinhead, don't watch Pumpkinhead 2.
Oh, but you should really check out Pumpkinhead 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Where Lance Henriksen claimed he ducked out of the European showing that he was supposed to speak at after because he was so embarrassed.
Aw. Well, hey, buddy, don't say fucking yes to Pumpkinhead 3. Like, what did you think?
Well, Pumpkinhead 1 is, like, so fucking... That's, like, a banger.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead 1, but it's like, you didn't do 2. Now you're back for 3?
Maybe he just likes working.
Maybe.
Or paychecks.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Everyone loves those Bulgarian tax credits.
Oh, yeah. People be craving that Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead versus Michael Myers. Coming 2025. Yeah, let's see what else. What else did we got going on in this movie?
The nurse came back.
Yeah, they get the brief snippet. They're both in the first movie. They get the brief snippet at that on the street when Michael goes fucking ham for the first time.
Yeah,
that genuinely, like, amazing scene. It's all one take, which is not what makes it amazing. Just like the restraint of the violence, but also enough to be, like, shocking. And it's like, oh, he's already back on the streets everywhere all at once, and no one's ready for him. And then these people die horrendously, and the lady shoots herself in the face when Michael kicks the door.
Michael Myers pulled a fucking Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
He kicked the door and shot herself.
That was, like, I don't know. That was a
Well,
that was a
again,
bit
like,
much.
I'll say it feels like it's doing a lot of the stuff that then they just double down on, where it's like, yeah, if you formed a mob with just people you met at the bar, you're gonna fucking get yourselves killed.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine. I have to say, though, the husband in the doctor nurse relationship, I was convinced that it was the guy from the Nostalgic Critic acting circle.
Oh my god.
It is not. But when I saw him pop up on screen, I was like, no. No, don't do this
You know
to
what?
me.
Here's the thing. I think a reason a lot of movies get reevaluated is because the Nostalgia Critic reviews them and doesn't like them. I think people feel dared by the Nostalgia Critic to defend movies he hates.
That makes sense.
I feel like, so he's going to do this one of these days, even though it's totally outside of his wheelhouse, but nothing matters anymore. And that's when the defense of Halloween Kills is going to come. Doug Walker is like the id of the film community.
Oh, that's the worst thing anyone's ever said about film nerds. That's pretty bad.
Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Monsters from the id.
The Nostalgia Critic is the evil and anger inside all of us.
Yes.
When we submit to fear.
When he puts that fucking stupid hat and a tie on.
That's his Michael Myers mask.
You have to remove the tie and then he can't do anything.
Although I do like that they continue the connection with the mask here, too.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it's almost like his power. Or it's like, it's the thing he needs to be complete. That's interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting. I just wish they had let it be told visually. You know? Like,
well, that's what they do, don't they? She doesn't say, like, your mask is your power, blah, blah, blah. But she does then go into a whole thing about, like, oh, we're back here at the place with the thing that we all know from the first one.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah, it's just, like, the monologues around it just don't work. And nothing's going to beat... I think everyone's trying to do the Loomis monologue from the first one, and you just can't beat it, you know? It's like a perfect moment. They really should have... I know that, like, Carpenter is only doing the music on these, but, like, from what I understand, he kind of wrote all the stuff about Michael Myers being pure evil in that script.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, because...
That was his angle. And that's, like, a recurring thing in his work, of just, like, some things are just pure evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, alien lands, it's pure evil. There's a car, it's pure evil. Capitalists, they're pure evil.
Well, he's right.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
And that's something that I find really interesting. Did you ever see that round table discussion of the horror people with, like, who's fucking the guy who made, like...
Was it Mick Garris?
Mick Garris and Hellraiser. Clive Barker.
Clive Barker?
Yeah, there's like a group of people. I'll find it and I'll put the link in the YouTube description. But it's really interesting, and I'm not going to find the clip because it's like an hour and a half long video. I'm not going to scroll through it. But John Carpenter has this thing because the purpose of that round table is to, like, for an interview, but also for all these people to make up a horror story on the fly. And John Carpenter starts describing, like, well, what are we going to do, like, for the horror? There's like the exterior horror from, like, the horrors out there that tends to be more conservative, where it's like the horror of the other. Then there's the more liberal fears, which is like the internalized fear, like it's inside all of us, or like the calls coming from inside the house. And I find that really interesting. That's like very revealing in a good way about how he approached his stuff. You know, he understood, like, the difference of how we view evils and villainy in films. And, you know, I started thinking about, like, well, where does, like, Halloween Kills fall into this? Because it's kind of like a mix of both, which could be really interesting. Again, like, everything in this movie could be really interesting, but it kind of splits the difference, and it ends up feeling incomplete in both aspects a little bit.
And just because it also just has that, like, liberal filmmaking kind of feeling like it's patting itself on the back occasionally.
Yeah, there's been a lot of criticism about that recently, where it's like, you know, the infamous line from The Boys, "Girls get it done," and it's like because it's making fun of that Avengers Endgame moment, and maybe how those films tend to pat themselves on the back when it's like, look, we did representation. This group of people have never had films made around them before. Don't look up any other films from anywhere in the world, and that's probably true.
How's the Netflix Twitter account doing these days?
Oh. Hey, we're here and we're listening. There's a lot of that from companies lately too.
Yeah, things are great. Yeah, you know. I'm trying to think if there's any moment. Did you catch Bob Odenkirk's cameo?
No. What?
It's incredibly strange. There's a reason you probably didn't catch it. They were there's this scene where they're going over all the victims that Michael Myers had in 78. They couldn't secure the rights of the guy who played, I can't remember the dude's name from the first one, the boyfriend who gets stabbed to the wall.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't secure the rights to use his image, so they used the high school picture of Bob Odenkirk.
Wow. They should bring him back as that guy's like brother or something.
Why not?
Fuck it. I think everyone should be in Halloween Ends, including you and me.
Bob Odenkirk was about to launch on a career where he might be an action star, and then he fucking had a heart attack, so I think he's got to be taking it easy for the time being.
I'm so glad he's okay, but that is so fucking funny to put it in those terms. Wow.
Well, do you remember also everyone's like, man, they better finish this Better Call Saul soon. Fucking who knows how much fucking Jonathan Banks has, and then fucking Bob Odenkirk's the one that goes down. Goddamn, that was a harrowing week.
I know, and then no one heard anything for like a day, and it's like, you know, that's totally fine. But because we're the internet and we need to understand everything immediately, it was like, but is he okay? Someone tell me if he's okay.
And then when we're not getting it's okay, people are like, we haven't heard anything in days. That can only mean it's bad.
And it's like, no, the family just wants privacy. But I totally admit to coming to that too, where I was like, please, God, someone tell me something.
It was turning into that thing where, like, every hour, like, no matter what I was doing, I was like, what's the update on Odenkirk? Which is like, why do I care that much? But, get better, Bob.
Yeah. I guess we can kind of start winding down because the third act is really where I ended up liking the movie the most, even with the horrendous monologues.
Yeah, like it's like, yeah, I really liked it visually, like I'm saying, you know? It's just, yeah. Why did they feel the need to do that? There's no monologue at the end of fucking Halloween.
Well, this is an important film.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to make jokes like that, but like that's definitely what the film's like.
I understand, like, when you're writing, like, I'll do this when you're writing, you like, will put all your ideas kind of in it, like, very heavily. But then, like, when you revise, you're like, nah, I don't need that much, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's good for me to know that that's what I'm going for, but I don't need to play my hand too much, you know?
Yeah.
You can revise. I was thinking of, we talked about the Thing script and how different it was from the movie and how it was pretty bad. And, like, how John Carpenter basically went in and kind of, like, you know, he knew that, like, take out huge chunks of it or, like, pull back certain things or when to elevate certain elements. And then I was also thinking of the script for Batman Returns, which we talked about, which is, like, every scene someone kind of had a monologue where the Penguin's like, yes, I am under the city, like, as he's running through the sewer. Like, him just saying what he's doing. And I get that, like, early drafts can be like that. Just someone somewhere should have just been like, take that shit out. And a producer's not going to, because it makes it easier for the audience. If you did this ending without the monologue, audiences are going to be like, what the fuck was that? But instead it's like, you know, it just clangs so hard, and I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what I really like the whole sequence with the mob, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, they got him on the ground, and then he comes back, and it's like...
And he kills everyone.
And I really liked how they did it, too. Like, that looked so cool.
Yeah. And, like, using their own weapons against them, too. And it's like, okay, that's the metaphor. That's all you needed.
You just needed that visual. And I guess it's also that thing of, like, if it had cut to black... that's something where it's like one of Carpenter's greatest strengths is that, like, when the movie ends, it just stops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he does not go on, like, he doesn't have an epilogue at the end of his movies. He's just like, nope, it's over. Like, the only one that even kind of has an epilogue is, like, They Live, and it ends on a joke. And this... But you can't do that today, because audiences are like, if you don't tell the audiences, this is the ending, they get like, what the fuck, you mean it's over? Like, people don't know how to sit with any movie now where it's unresolved. And not unresolved in a way where it's like, the sequel will answer this. Unresolved in a way where it's like, we're going to leave you to sit with your thoughts for a second. No movie does that anymore. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's worth complaining about. It's stupid. I want to talk about the ending for a couple of reasons. One, because it's my favorite part of the film. And two, because I discovered the script for this film on Reddit. And I wanted to clarify some things that were in the trailer that were not. And also because Judy Greer bites it in this film. And she gets it bad. Which was shocking, and I don't know if I liked it or not yet, frankly.
Yeah.
So, the mob stuff, awesome. Everyone... also, the granddaughter's shitty boyfriend from the first film, who kind of tries to, like, redeem himself a little bit in this movie, dies horrendously as well.
Yes.
It's like a 2-minute death scene. It's like, okay, look, it was a shitty teenager, but all teenagers are shitty. Like, that was, like, a lot, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
No, it was funny, and I think it was intentional, but, like, damn.
That sequence was just kind of, that whole bit was just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like, but whatever.
Okay, so and what I liked about the mob dying too is that even though it was filled with characters that were like, oh, we're from the first movie and stuff, it's like, oh, the movie is clarifying that, yeah, none of that matters. They're all dead.
Yeah, which I think is what they were trying to do with also having Judy Greer die at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that was also trying to be like, look, it doesn't matter. You could be this important character who is like the only character that kind of does the right thing through most of the runtime.
Yeah.
And then it's like, nope, and you'll still get it. And which I kind of get. I'm not sure if they totally earned it. I just like, it's just a shame we're not going to see more Judy Greer.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure because I was like, well, they did the fake out death for the cop last time, who's back in this one, also in a hospital bed, but I'm sure he'll be back in action for the third one. And so I was like, are they doing a fake out with Judy Greer? And so I'm reading the script, and it says, throwing her arms up to defend herself, one after another we land lethal stabbing blows on her. She screams as each stab penetrates her chest and sternum. Pan to reveal, Karen is dead, eerily lying in the exact same spot that Judith Myers died in. So yeah, she's gone. Unless they changed that, because they also changed what was supposed to be the final moment of the film. Pan to reveal, Karen's dead, yada yada. Karen's phone rings, unknown caller. The shape reaches down, raises the phone to his ear and answers it. Interior hospital hallway continuous. Lori stands by a hospital wall mounted telephone. Karen, hello? Nothing is heard from the other end of the line. Lori takes a beat. Lori enter her phone. Karen? Then, breathing, and the shape stands. He's holding her phone next to his ear. And then Lori's like, Michael. Breathing continues. Lori lowers the phone, resting her head against the wall, takes a beat before raising the phone back to her face as tears build in her eyes and rage builds too. Then Lori into the phone says, run as far as you possibly can, because I'm coming for you. I'm never going to stop coming for you until I put you in the ground and send you back to hell. Lori drops the phone, and I don't know if you ever saw the trailers. I think you avoided them, right?
Yeah, I've tried to.
Okay. I didn't think they were that revealing, and right now I still don't think they were that revealing. But there's a shot in the first trailer where it shows the town going crazy, and the last shot of the trailer is the last shot in this script. So they shot it where after that little monologue she gives Michael, because everyone has a fucking monologue in this movie, she picks up that knife that her granddaughter left her from the end of the first movie.
Oh, okay.
And she's walking down the hallway, headed to her final confrontation with Michael. And then it cuts to black.
Mm.
That shot was in the trailer. So, I guess they were like, yeah, we don't need that. And
that'll be the start of the next movie.
yeah, probably.
That's what'll happen. All right, I don't know if this is a hot take. That's a better ending.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's all right. Let me say this. Here's how it could have been a better ending. I'll just say it like that.
All right.
Get rid of the fucking monologue where she's like, "I'm coming for you." Get rid of the monologue that happened before that. If you just again like cut the monologues. If you had done the sequence where he kills the mob, and then I like the idea. I can't remember. Is she in the position of Michael's sister at the end of this?
She's in the same room. Yeah.
I know it's the same room, but
well, she's looking out the window because she saw Michael as a child, which goes uncommented on, which I loved because it was uncommented on.
I did like that.
Yeah.
And I do like that. Actually, it makes a little bit more sense. But I would have liked, instead of the monologue building to her death, that you kind of have that shock death. He kind of gets quiet for a minute, then the phone call happens. And at first I was like, Michael Myers answering a phone is ridiculous. But I'm like, no, that happens in the first movie. And I think it would be good with what you're saying, where she's calling out her name, and then she says Michael, and then it should have cut the black.
Oh, okay.
Title. Like, that would have been a great ending.
As it is in the film, it's a little abrupt, but I like the final image of Michael seeing his reflection again, and then Laurie looking into hers, and it's like, what, like, there's an implication there that these two, even though they're not connected by blood, they're connected. They're just put on this path that's like unavoidable.
Yeah.
That's a nice touch, I thought.
That was interesting. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reflection shit in this, which gets on my nerves. But
I mean, it's something. It's something that's also uncommented on.
It's something to do once or twice.
Yeah.
Not maybe a few dozen times.
Yeah.
I would have liked that. Hey, maybe when Halloween Kills comes out, and then we get that sequence, we can do a fan edit.
Just cut it. Yeah, that's my fan edit of this movie, along with cutting out half of the other stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, that's the sometimes you watch this movie, you're like, well, you could just cut that, blah blah blah, and then it's like, well, you can't cut that big middle thing, and that sucks.
No, but it can cut the moment they show his exposed brain.
Yeah, you could cut that.
That might help a little bit.
Anyway, I like this movie.
Yeah, I didn't, but I liked a lot of stuff in it, and I'm still looking forward to the third one, and we'll see if that bites me in the ass, but I genuinely believe that the next one will be good, now that they got this one out of the way. If that makes any sense to anyone. I am excited about the next one. At this point, though, I do not want David Gordon Green doing the Exorcist films. Mm-hmm. I was kind of on the fence about that. And now I'm like, no. And it's just, it's how do I break this down? Like, he's gonna have to do a lot to win me over to the idea that he's gonna do an Exorcist trilogy. Like, it's gonna have to be a completely different beast. And he's a good director. He's had a fucking weird career. Yeah. I think we talked about George Washington last time. Yeah. Yeah, which is like it's in the Criterion Collection. Yeah, and then it's like in the middle he does fucking Pineapple Express. Yeah, which is his like second best film. Oh. He's hold on, I gotta look up. I forgot the guy's name. Also, Your Highness. Remember that cult classic? Yeah, that's a bad movie. Yeah, apparently Jamie Lee Curtis keeps making fun of him for that movie. That's great. Yeah, either her or Judy Greer, I forget, but yeah, they bring it up. He's like the evil. No, he's the good reflection of Todd Phillips. Yeah, that's about right. Oh no, the Joker trilogy. Yeah, I mean, hey, they're already hyping like they're going to do a Joker sequel. Yeah, but Joaquin Phoenix notoriously hates people, so I don't know if he's gonna. Yeah, but he seems to like people who suck. That's also true. Yeah. Weird film. I don't want. Yeah, like he's gonna have to, if for whatever the Exorcist thing is, and it's like saying that now, it's like that movie's however many years out. Like, who fucking knows what the world's gonna be like then? Mm-hmm. So like, I might not be watching any movies by that point.
yeah, I'm not super hyped about that. I do want to see Halloween Ends just to see like if he does kind of do like, and this is what it was all building towards. And I might be like, maybe you could have done it in one film. But
Well, the original plan was to do a two-parter. Do you remember that?
yeah. Well, I think that's maybe why the script ends that way, and it was gonna pick the ends was initially gonna pick up right from then, and then now that wouldn't make sense with now they're gonna do the time jump between films, so maybe that's why it got cut. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be. Like I said, I liked it ultimately, even though like if you hate it, I get it. I don't think it's abnormally bad, I guess.
No. It's just again like the sincerity with how it like approaches the subject matter, and so when it leans into like that really melodramatic, cynical stuff, ends up making it like I think that's why people have a harsher reaction to this one.
Yeah,
You know, it feels like almost like a betrayal. I guess.
feels almost like the recent response to the Candyman film.
Which film?
Candyman.
Oh, Candyman?
Yeah, Candyman got a similar response.
Yeah, Candyman.
That's a good movie.
Oh, nothing happened. Okay. Yeah, no, I liked it. I like it more than this one. Significantly more than this one.
Yeah, because that one's actually really good.
It's very good. It's also got flaws, but
that one has flaws that are a lot easier to look around than this one.
yeah.
In my opinion. And I think everyone's fucking wrong about the new Candyman, but hey.
That one's got like a positive to mixed reception. This one's got a mixed to negative reception.
This one, I don't know. I don't see anyone. I seem to be the only one out in front of the new Candyman. I feel alone.
Just
I
film
feel like
Twitter.
I really want to go. Yeah, I guess that's it. I really want to go in on it, but I feel like if I write anything, someone's gonna pull up the director saying something stupid to disprove me, and I don't want to know what the director said. But it's like I don't want to know what David Gordon Green saying the next one's gonna like tackle COVID like has me terrified. I'm like, no, don't. And then Jamie Lee Curtis say something about Black Lives Matter, like that influenced the films.
I think so. There's a bunch of funny videos about her like in the press like run of the first film where she's like, this is about trauma, and like every interview is her bringing that up, and it's like, yeah, it is, but it is very funny when you have it like on 24 separate occasions repeating that.
Yeah,
you know. And I mean, like, look, like they're making a movie they believe in. That's all you can kind of ask for.
Yeah,
even with like ridiculous sound bites, you know.
And you got to treat every interview like it's only going to be seen, like that person's only going to see that interview.
Mm-hmm.
We sometimes forget that, like, when we give these actors talking points about movies, that some people will watch every interview.
Yeah, which is how you get montages like that.
Yeah, you get montages
compilations
like that,
or whatever the fuck.
People saying Star Wars is about family, and gives ammunition to people who suck. But yeah. I honestly, I ultimately had a good time. I'm sorry you didn't.
Yeah, it was a really big bummer. But again, I wasn't like mad or angry. I was just like, man, like,
yeah,
it's too bad. And I move on with my life because I'm mostly well adjusted.
Yeah. I'm sorry to all the people who are like really angry about it. I wish you could have had a better time. I hope that when we're removed from the culture we're currently living in, and hopefully things are better in 10 years, which seems like a lot to ask for, but hopefully when we've made some social progress, we can look back on this and just be like, it's kind of silly that they thought those issues needed to be addressed in a Halloween film.
Yeah.
And then we can focus on some of the more positive qualities of this movie.
Yeah, and if anything, that might date it better, you know? Just not
mean,
because it'll be like, oh, it spoke to anything, but just because, like you said, like they felt the need to address it, which is like, it's definitely... Remember when everyone thought you needed to address every political issue in every work of art they made?
Yeah. Well, we are living in unprecedented times.
Yeah.
Like, we really haven't lived through a moment like this. Not because what's happening is anything new, just that it's never really happened on a global scale like this. Like, even the world wars haven't been like this. And
Oh, you're saying you
Hollywood...
disrespect the troops. Sorry.
But Hollywood doesn't know how to deal with that. And they're like, well, we have to address it. And they kind of do, but they also kind of don't. Like, it's a really difficult balancing act. And also, everything's so up in the air right now, we don't know where the chips are going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you get the thing that most liberal filmmakers do, which is they're treating a lot of what's happening now like it's abnormal. Like, that it just came out of fucking nowhere. And I think a lot of us are sitting here being like, we've seen a lot of this coming for a while, unfortunately. And it can be frustrating to watch liberal filmmakers treat it like a weird abnormal event that couldn't possibly ever happen again. And it's like, yeah, it's been happening to marginalized communities for a long time. And now it's happening to everyone. And that's the shift that has happened recently. And I think that has hurt a lot of these films, because every film now is so important. Like, it's about something. And that's a hard thing to handle, especially if you don't have a great grasp of it. And who does have a good grasp of it?
Yeah. And it's like, if you don't try to, like, address something serious with your movie, it doesn't mean it's any less good, you know? Just, you can make a good movie that doesn't try to address every important topical issue. It's fine. It's fine.
I guess here's a thing I would like to see going forward, even though it is present in the Candyman reboot that I liked. We got to start handling cops differently in films. Like, that's just important, but we don't need to do every movie. It's like, oh, there's a corrupt cop who's going to frame someone for a murder, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, we don't need to have that scene in every movie that features cops. We just need to show that cops aren't, like, good at their jobs, and they should not be the focal point of trauma, or, like, oh, we need someone to come in and save the day at the end. It shouldn't be a cop. Like, we really just have to stop framing cops the way we do, and we have to start framing them as they could be a threat. They could hurt what is happening, as opposed to being, like, the good guys showing up at the end. But, I guess everyone feels the need. I don't know. Everyone's going through a lot.
Yeah.
Even rich filmmakers.
Which is, again, maybe why this movie speaks to the present. Because it's got too much going on. And that's probably why it's falling apart as it continues. Yeah. And again, that's an accidental connection I made, not necessarily ingrained in the decisions made in the making of the film. I just think that's a little funny. Even though they try to speak to now, they spoke to now, like, accidentally.
Yeah. Yeah, the way they tried to speak to now failed miserably, but they accidentally spoke to now in completely different ways.
Yeah.
Which, you know, hey, whatever.
So
3.5 stars.
Halloween Kills. Yeah, if I still gave star ratings, it'd probably be like a 2. But
yeah, I get it.
Again, don't hate it. Just like, I wish I liked it. But yeah, that was a good ending, Matt. Much like the film we just discussed.
Yep.
You said you ranked your Halloween films before this, and I'm putting you on the spot because I want to know what they are.
I really just threw this together, like, really quickly. And I would have to think about it again. And I also, like, I'm, like, looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know if I really think this. Because it's like, you go, like, well, this movie is clearly better than that movie. But then I'm like, but it's not that much better. Like, it's I'll say the first 3, and this will... What you pick as your third is probably the one that's going to reveal who you are. Because it's like, all right, John Carpenter's Halloween, like, that's the obvious one. If you don't put that there, you're a fucking liar.
Yeah, you hear that, Rich Evans?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did rank Halloween really low on that list.
Yeah,
he's the normie American. Like, that's the normie take. I'm not gonna go in on the guy too hard.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. He's just a guy.
Halloween 3 is my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then Halloween 2018 is my number 3.
Okay, so we have the same top 3.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's probably why we do this show together.
Yeah.
And then, like, after that, I don't fucking know. Like, here's where it is right now. I would probably end up changing it at some point. Number 4 is Halloween 4. Number 5 is H2O. Also, I haven't put Kills on the list. I'll do that at the end. I'll try to figure out where I'd put it. So number 5 is H2O. Number 6, which has gone up for me, is the zombie Halloween 2.
Yes.
Number 7. I want to say I still don't really like that movie, but
Okay.
that's where it falls. Then 7 is the original Halloween 2. 8 is Halloween 5. 9 is the Rob Zombie Halloween remake. 10 is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, and then 11 is Resurrection. Which is just a bad movie.
All right. Well, I will run through mine really quickly so we can wrap up. Same top 3 as yours, and then number 4 is Halloween 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is H2O. Number 6 is Halloween 4. Number 7 is Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2. Number 8 is Halloween Kills, because again, I do like things in it a lot. Number 9 is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, for the one scene. Number 10 is Rob Zombie's original Halloween remake. This is where it might get controversial. Number 11 is Halloween Resurrection. For Trick or Treat, motherfucker. And number 12 is Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, which is maybe the single worst film ever made, and everyone's out of their goddamn minds for saying it's like fun.
I could go either way with the last two, so I understand.
Yeah, I mean the opening to Resurrection is just atrocious. Like take that out of the movie, and it's like whatever, forgettable slasher, but.
Yeah, I guess I see. I guess I will give a movie credit for like going for it, even if it fails miserably.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't get the image of the cult at the end of the movie in whatever version has the cult. I can't even remember.
It's fucking ridiculous.
And there's just Michael Myers just standing on the side. It is such a silly image. Oh, what a bad movie. I gotta figure out where I put Kills real quick. This is where I might get controversial, because you put it pretty low. I'm probably gonna put it much higher than you. You know what? I have all the 2s kind of grouped together, so I'm gonna put it one above the Zombie 2.
Okay, yeah, that works.
I think that's where I would ultimately put it. So it goes for me. I'll only do 2 kills, so it's original Halloween 3. 2018, 4, H2O, and then Kills. Okay. And I might flop 4 and H2O at some point. Like, those 2 are very similar to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Matt, thanks for revisiting the Halloween retrospective with me. We got one more, and then probably for the rest of our lives also. But
yes.
The one that matters is coming up next year. So I guess we'll do this again in a year from now. Where can the people find you until then?
I'm at EmperorOTN1 at Twitter.com.
And you can find me at the Diego Crespo on Twitter. Check out the Waffle Press on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Patreon. Get early access to other retrospectives we're doing. It's Halloween season. It's spooky season, so we got some stuff cooking. So keep an eye out. Do we want to say what we're doing next with that, or do we want to hold on to that?
Well, I don't know when is this going to come out.
Like literally tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Then we're gonna do Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. And I think one more we could fit in, right?
Yeah. We're doing a few things. October's kind of packed for movies right now.
Yeah. The Happy Emblem was supposed to come back sooner, and then it didn't because of this. So.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to mix.
Happy Emblem will be back like in November. It looks like.
Yeah, after Halloween. So, yeah, have fun, stay safe. We'll see you around for spooky season. We have been professionally unprofessional.
But a man couldn't have survived that fire. The more he kills, the more he transcends.
Run! Go home now!
He's the essence of evil.